This story took place at my sister's house when my nephew was only a few months old. It was the first time I had ever heard a tale about a child's ghost. My nephew's inconsolable crying at night left my sister and her husband in a state of constant anxiety. He would scream and sob all night long, making it impossible for them to get even a wink of sleep. Usually, a baby cries because they are hungry, sick, or uncomfortable, but those nights were different. He would burst into screams for no apparent reason. Even after being fed and changed, he refused to stop. My sister tried everything to soothe him, rocking him in her arms and singing lullabies. Her and her husband's faces were worn thin from days of sleep deprivation. Finally, when the child would settle into a slumber that looked as peaceful as a little angel, they would gently lay him in his crib. They were baffled as to why he was so restless, beginning to fear that he was terrified of something they couldn't see. One night, just as they thought the ordeal was over and the baby was finally sleeping soundly, he suddenly let out a shriek even louder and more piercing than before. Panic-stricken and exhausted, they spent another sleepless night trying to comfort him. Curiously, during the day, he was a completely different child, cheerful, energetic, and perfectly well-behaved. Worried sick, my sister called our mother. Having raised many children, my mother arrived quickly, her face filled with concern for her grandson. As soon as she looked at him, she gasped. What happened to his face? There were strange, faint red marks on the baby's skin. My sister had assumed it was just a heat rash, but my mother shook her head solemnly. These aren't rashes. These are bite marks from another child. There were strange, faint red marks on the baby's skin. My sister had assumed it was just a heat rash, but my mother shook her head solemnly. These aren't rashes. These are bite marks from another child. The room went cold. My mother explained that infants like my nephew have very weak spirits, making them easy targets for the supernatural. To prove her point, she knelt and looked under the sofa. My brother-in-law was confused, as he kept a very clean